Hello students, Mr. Raban here. I'm going to teach you how to use a Google form for your field research for your linguistics or composition studies research paper.
So you'll want to go to your Google Drive to use Google Forms, and or you can go from your Gmail or calendar as well, as long as you can find this Google Apps grid here. And remember, it's Google Forms. It's a purple icon right here. The form. And make sure not to create a quiz. That's going to mess up your results. So just a blank form. Let's pretend that we're interested in a linguistic phenomenon where people change their tone of voice when speaking to pets. So I'm curious to get people's opinions about that. So I'm going to create a pet speak survey. Is there pet speak? Do people change the way they speak when speaking to animals? And I want to get started off with knowing if the person is familiar with pets. You know, I don't want to waste a person's time if they just don't hang around animals. And so my first question will be, have you owned or visited a pet on a regular basis? We can, yes, Google is going to make some suggestions, and so we're going to have a yes and a no. Maybe it's not going to work with this. It's not really a real answer. That's something you think about when you're posing your questions and creating your suggestions, is that, you know, if Google suggests maybe, well, look at your survey. No, this question, have you owned or visited a pet on a regular basis, there's a yes or no. Maybe is not going to give you a good answer, and you're not going to be able to when you write the paper, you're not going to be able to respond to that maybe answer. Always make sure that your questions are required, or else your survey taker might skip them. You can program the survey so that if the survey taker answers no, their survey is done. But if they answer yes, then the survey continues. You do that by hovering over the three-dot selector, and then you have this go to section based on answer, and I'll give you options for the yes or no. So continue next section, yes. Continue next section, no. We want them just to, that submits the form. They're done. We don't really need them anymore. All right. So what we'll need to do now is add a new question. And so if they have this experience with pets, I'm going to find out some information about them. Remember, like, you want to find out stuff so that you can come to conclusions. So I'm curious about, well, I want to know if the survey taker is male or female. And we have, let's add them all. We could delete the ones later. Not male, female, prefer not to say. And then we do have other, because of our non-binary climate. I hope that my survey takers take this seriously. That actually would be fascinating if they did take it seriously and they don't identify with either, and then go on to answer more questions about how they change their tone of voice when speaking to animals. All right, so that'll stand as it is. Let's add another question. I'm curious about, does the texture of the pet change the way they talk to the pet? affect their perception of the pet? I guess a quick assumption would be if the fluffier the pet, the cutesier we'll talk to a pet. All right, so what is or was the texture of the pet you spent the most time with? Okay, and then so we get to add our options. Google cannot suggest. Google cannot interpret what's going on here. All right, so is the pet fluffy, scaly, spiny, feathery, or firm / solid? Okay. You know what? Make sure this is, this is required. Good. This question must be required. All questions must be required. All right, so we're good. Add another question. Okay, maybe the size of the pet would change the speaker's tone of voice. So maybe if it, quick assumption again would be if it's a tiny little thing, little cute puppy, whatever, that the speaker would use cutesy voice. But if it's a big pet, they would not use cutesy voice. About what size is or was the pet? Okay, and then so I make some associations that that many survey takers could make. So most people know the size of an apple. So is that the size? Is the pet the size of an apple, or cantaloupe? Spell check, please. All right, passed. Watermelon, or larger than. A watermelon. Okay. Required. And then finally is that tone of voice, the actual linguistic part. Now, the other questions you might not think were part of linguistic studies, but we have to know that stuff. We're trying to make a connection between the type of animal and the type of speech. Don't forget that part. Your paper is about how do people speak, or how do they write? All right. Did you use cutesy or baby talk with the pet? And I'm giving just yes and no. Maybe it's too vague. I can't really, let them answer that way. Okay. That's the survey all set. And then when you are done, you can go to send. And then lots of different ways. What I suggest is that you make a link. So here's this link button here, and send this link. Post it actually on Schoology. So I'll set up a discussion board or some kind of post board where you can post your. In fact, that's exactly what we're gonna do. A discussion board. You post your link on there, and your friends can go onto Schoology and take that survey. You can also post it onto your social media as well. And take note that you might want to consider how broad this will be then. So if you put this on the internet, you're going to have people from different geographical regions taking the test, from different types of neighborhoods and stuff. And so consider that. You might want to ask a question. What kind of neighborhood are you from? So that you can make another assumption after that. Okay, so you would just copy, and then it copies to your computer's little invisible clipboard, and then next time you paste, it'll paste that link for your wherever you're pasting it. You can also email it to people, but that's not really that common anymore. You can change the look of it. You can customize the theme and so on. Now, why would you use a Google form? Well, once you get to responses, and once your responses add up, you could click on create a spreadsheet, and it will create a spreadsheet for you. You don't have to type any numbers in. It will just like open a new Google Sheet, and you'll see all of your responses all organized, and then you can do create charts and graphs from there. It's fascinating. It's wonderful. All right. Okay, so that's how you create a Google form. Oh, I should probably make sure it's called Pet Speak Survey. For me, I've done this before, so I'm going to place the year on there.
Thank you for watching, guys and gals, and have a great day.